Hey folks, Uncle Dumoc, Mad Creator, coming at you from my hidden bunker deep within the bowels of the city. And today I kind of wanted to address a user by the name of Yellow Flash and his video titled "Does Superman Believe in God?" Superman number 41. Now, for those of you not familiar with Yellow Flash, he does comic book reviews, and he's partially one of the guys that are in Comicsgate, and he has a very unfortunately, he has a very conservative political stance. I try to ignore that because it's sort of like he does some pretty. He does some rather interesting comic book reviews, and one of them being Superman number 41. Now, in the video, he goes on to talk about the story where Superman finds out that there's a planet that, like Krypton, was going to explode. So he and Superboy go over there to that planet in an effort to see if they can rescue people and perhaps save the culture, etc. Because he doesn't want to have another species meet the same fate as the Kryptonians. The leadership of that planet, which for some strange reason are also the species' religious leaders, apparently they take their religion a little too seriously, decide that it would be better for the species as a whole to die than to move to another planet, because they're afraid that if they move to another planet, they'll be exposed to another culture, to another group's religious beliefs or non-beliefs, or, the hold that they have on their followers would diminish. So rather than save their entire population, these religious leaders decide it's better to let the whole species die. We don't want your help, Superman. Please go away. And this is, of course, my interpretation of the story, because I read it along with him. I saw some of the same things he said. I saw some of the same dialogue. And throughout the course of the book, Superman attempts to find at least one or two people that may dissent or disagree. He found one person who is a man of science, a scientist who, like Jor-El, tried to warn his people that the planet was going to blow up. But, of course, religious leaders, being what they are, decided that they weren't going to listen to him, and thus told the rest of the people not to listen to him. So he decided, screw that, I'm going to try to work on saving my species what little I can. So he finds some of his, he has his mates ovum, they fertilize and cryogenically preserve, etc., so that way they can find a planet and he can send them there. He gives it to Superman, and they have a long discussion, and it sort of boils down to this. The scientist that Superman meets still believes in his species' religion, even though it's very clear that the religious leaders are thoroughly and utterly corrupt and suicidal. But as he sees himself as both a man of science and faith, and how, his beliefs help him to see science in a whole new light, and he's able to use his beliefs to, work towards the betterment of his species. Now, in a way he did, but at the same time, the problem was not the scientists, the problem was the religious leaders. And this kind of goes into where I want to discuss with you, Yellow Flash, if you're actually watching this, to kind of point out something here. In this particular instance, the problem was not only the planet blowing up. The problem was not only the scientists giving up, but it was also the fact that the religious leaders did not want their followers to give up on their religious beliefs. They didn't want to give up on that power and would rather die than to let the people that they are responsible for make their own choices as to whether or not they want to continue to survive. And this is the problem that a lot of non-believers have with religious leaders, is that a lot of times these religious leaders don't give a damn about their followers. They don't give a damn about their followers' well-being. They just want the power. And they died because their religious leaders did not want to give up 1 ounce of their beliefs in order to preserve the species. So now their God has no one to pray to him. Their God has no one to proclaim his ideology. Their God has no one to worship him. Unless you believe in the afterlife, and even then, a God likes to have fresh meat every once in a while. But anyway, those are my thoughts on it. And it's one of those times where it's like, should Superman have forced the religious leaders to kind of say, to save their people? I can kind of see your point where respecting the religion wasn't the right thing to do. In that particular instance, life is more important than whether or not your make-believe friend is going to be happy with you. But they decided to follow their religious leaders to their deaths. Oh well, it's a sad story, but it kind of demonstrates why folks are very reluctant to give religious leaders a break when it comes to things like this. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Feel free to comment down below, and I'll talk to y'all later.